Today we're going to show you how to set up and install your Dead-End Motorsports catch can kit for Porsche 981 Cayman and Boxster. In the first segment, we're going to pre-assemble the catch can kit in order to prepare it for installation into your eBay. The first two parts you're going to need are your bracket 2 and bracket 1. The bracket 2 is a stainless steel bracket, and then we're going to use 4 bolts and locking nuts to put them together. You're going to need an 11mm wrench, as well as a 4mm hex key. We will begin by assembling the two brackets together using the 4 bolts and 4 lock nuts provided. Do not fully tighten the bolts and nuts until you have put them through the holes in the brackets. Once you do have all 4 bolts and nuts assembled through the holes in the brackets, you may then tighten them down fully. Now that your 2 brackets are assembled together using the bolts and nuts, we can move on to installing the catch can. Attach the catch can to the bracket using the 7 screws provided, but do not tighten them yet. When installing the catch can to the bracket, please note the direction of the outlet port on the catch can. Before tightening down the 7 screws, we will install the rubber bumper strip. Slide it between the catch can and the lower portion of the bracket. With the bumper strip in place, we can now tighten the 7 screws using a 3mm hex key. Again, it is important to note the orientation of the outlet port on the side of the catch can relative to the bracket. It should face roughly 45 degrees offset from the length of the bracket assembly. If you have already removed the clip retaining bracket from the top of the intake manifold on your engine, you may remove the plastic retaining clips and install them onto the bracket assembly now. Otherwise, you can do this when installing the assembly into the engine bay. Next, install the drain fitting into the bottom of the can. Note that you may have to remove an existing plug from the bottom of the can first. Also be sure to check the O-ring in the drain fitting and ensure that it is in place before threading the fitting to the bottom of the catch can. Slip one end of the drain hose over the fitting and push it into place. A small amount of oil applied to the barbs on the fitting may aid in installation. Insert the inlet side of the drain valve into the other end of the drain hose. Note the arrow on the side of the valve indicating the recommended direction of flow. Thread one of the large threaded adapters provided in the kit into the top of the catch can. Be sure to check that the O-ring is installed. This adapter can be tightened with a 1 1/8 inch wrench, but there is no need to over-tighten. With pre-assembly complete, we can now move on to preparing the engine bay and installing the... To prepare the engine bay, we will need to remove the existing breather hose and temporarily move the coolant and vacuum lines out of the way in order to make room for the catch can assembly to be inserted and attached. Once the area is cleared, the catch can assembly will be inserted into the front left corner of the engine bay, just in front of the coolant tank. Remove the coolant line from the 3 clips and rotate it up and out of the way. Remove the breather hose from the AOS and the intake manifold. A special service tool may make this job easier. Now we will partially remove the vacuum assembly from the top of the intake manifold. Squeeze the tabs on the connector. Grab the body of the vacuum regulator and slide it up and left approximately 30 degrees to release it from its tab. Remove the vacuum line from the black plastic clip and pry the white wire retaining clip from the metal bracket. Remove the clip bracket using an E10 Torx socket. Take extra care when removing the metal bracket not to lose the plastic clips. Remove the plastic clips from the bracket and set them aside as we will reuse them. You may need a pair of pliers. Also be sure to set aside your E10 Torx bolt as we will be using it as well. Gently tuck the vacuum assembly out of the way as shown. We will now disconnect the second coolant line. Be sure to have towels or rags to catch any fluid that may leak out. Gently tuck the coolant line up and out of the way. Keeping the open end of the coolant line elevated will help to reduce some of the fluid that leaks out. With all of the lines out of the way, we now have room to install the catch can bracket and assembly. Begin by feeding the drain line into the open area at the front left of the engine bay. Grab the bracket and feed the catch can and assembly into the open area as shown. Rotate the assembly into place, line up the holes in the bracket with the mounting points on the manifold, and use your E10 Torx bolt to secure the bracket in place. Do not fully tighten the E10 Torx bolt yet. Use the bolt supplied in the kit to secure the lower part of the bracket to the side of the intake manifold. Tighten the bolt using a 4mm hex wrench or key. Thread the port adapter into the outlet port on the side of the catch can. Reconnect the coolant line to the open port on the coolant tank. Attach the 90-degree elbow end of the short breather hose to the top of the catch can. A little oil inside the catch can adapter may help in fitting this part. Move the vacuum line assembly back to its original position, but do not reassemble. Connect the straight end of the short breather hose to the open port on the AOS. If you have not already done so, you may tighten down the E10 Torx bolt that holds the top of the catch can assembly in place. Attach one end of the long breather hose to the outlet on the side of the catch can. Again, a little oil inside the adapter may help. Attach the other end of the long breather hose to the port on the intake manifold. Reattach the vacuum line assembly to the top of the intake manifold. Attach the plastic retaining clips that we had set aside earlier to the new bracket. Rotate the long coolant line back down and place it back into its retaining clips.